Potato. It's my favorite dish.
Alright, so anyways, you
I ain't see nothing. Sat still for quite a while. And, even the big binoculars looking out at a distance. Anything I could see, nothing.
we went, I always run out of time, and that was what our problem was. We got back to where I told you that I was thinking of going to where I at least wanted to get to that clearing, not necessarily where the deer were bedded down, but we ended up where the deer were bedded down. And Jeremy thinks that he saw one move out of there as we come up over the ridge. We got to cross a big clearing out there. I mean, it's all clear cut. So we cut across that. We went through where the where I saw them doe bedded down, and I was actually going to follow that out, and I was going to go by what we call those swamp blinds. But then I thought to myself, I guess it's going to take us too long to go that way. I was looking at the clock, and I'm like, man, we're going to have to backtrack to get. We're going to have to backtrack the way we came in to get back to where we want to go. We got all the way back to where we lost and found ourselves. We got all the way back there, and rather than, because I'm looking at it, and the GPS says I'm not even a 1/10 of a mile from his tree stand. So I'm like, okay, I clicked it. I'm like, go to, send me there. I'm freaking walking, and the GPS is doing this. I'm like, which direction am I supposed to walk? Sit still, GPS. You know, and the GPS constantly will not. That's the worst thing about a GPS is that when you are standing still, you're not going to get a bearing or a direction. It can't figure it out. So you got to move. Well, every time that I moved, it kept shifting. So I'm like, holy cat! And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's like a 1/10 of a mile, 11th of a mile, 12th of a mile, 14th of a mile, 15th of a mile. I'm like, what? Come on, I'm going the wrong way. So then I marked the road. And I'm like, all right, take me to the road. Well, the way the road is, the road angles across the opposite direction, so I end up having to go further to get to the road. So we end up hoofing it cross country. We kicked a deer up when we got, I think we kicked probably 3 deer up today, and all of them pushed this direction. So I'm like, well, that's all right. I mean, if it's going to do anything, to move up towards Keith or push it up towards the tree stand or up to the ground blind. So inevitably, we end up back on the trail where you were sitting last night. That's where we ended up getting back on the road after we cross-countryed it. And then we're like, holy cow, looking at the time, I'm like, okay, well, we can sit here in that deadfall, or we can diddy mow real fast and try and get him in his stand. And that's what we did. He went up in the stand, and then remember where you sat, I think it was opening, they're not opening it, but the first day of gun, you sat in that tree on that clearing, and we found that ground blind a little further in. That's where I hiked back into there, and I sat there. And nothing at all. So, it was, I mean, I saw what I wanted to see getting over to that other side, but it took us way too long to get there, and then we were, you know, scrambling to get back, so we started overheating, coming back, getting too hot. Stopped a couple of times, and then when we finally decided we were going to follow the GPS and not my old noodle, that's when we got all jacked up. I should have just followed what my brain was telling me to do, is skirt the tree line. We're going to hit this tree stand, we're going to hit this ground blind, then we're going to hit the next ground blind, then we're going to be in the clearing, then we hit the trail, and then we'll backtrack to the tree stand. Well, I didn't do that. I figured I could be able to go point A to point B, like the GPS says, as the crow flies. I was trying to do that. And it's not like I was going through a swamp or brush or anything. It just, the GPS would not lock in on that straight direction. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is nuts. So, you know, the arrow turns this way, so I turn this way, I start going this way. Then the arrow turns this way, and it's like, forget it. Yeah. We just, I put
an old standby.
Yeah, that's what I should have done. I should have put, okay, that's where it says the tree stand is. I'm getting my compass out. Boom, hit my heading, and then go heading on my compass, and just follow my compass. You know, the GPS is great for driving around, I guess, if you're flying in an airplane, or
it must just be too, I don't know, was it too sensitive?
I think the problem is it can't get a bearing when you're standing still. It has to triangulate you,
right.
And when you're standing still, it can't triangulate you because you've stopped moving. You have to move for it to pick up the signal, and it to go. He's moving. Measure. Okay, he stops. Measure. I think it just can't figure it out when you're stopped. Anywho, as a bust. A little bit of information about GPSing. I love GPSs. I love modern technology, but sometimes you got to go back to the old standby. You know, go by line of sight.
The paint on the trees.
Yeah, paint on the trees. That was one of the ways that we started to follow out. You know, and this is why, I don't know, this is why I guess this is the Lost Trails, because there's just, that literally we were,
maybe there's magnetic interference.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an alien ship.
Maybe that's an alien.
Buried here somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe they're living here. Maybe they got some kind of magnetic field disrupting
sea monkeys. Yeah.
Sea monkeys.
Could be.
All right, let's roll it. We got to go pack up and head home.
Throw it on the road.
Should have turned that off. Oh yeah, turn the camera. All right. No matters. Following us. Let's head our canoodles out of here. Oops. That's the end of, well, not the end of muzzleloader season. We got, we can still pull a couple of last ditch efforts on the St. Clair property. Oops. This, whatever it said. But, Keith, you were up here somewhere, weren't you?
Yep, somewhere around the bend. That one big branch that had come down on this side. It was just past that.
There was a couple of really nice spots out there that I told Jeremy, I'm like, you know what, I'd really like to sit here. But remember where we left, Jeremy?
Yeah.
And I told you if we'd have left there in the dark, we'd have got lost.
What's going on
Look
here?
what happened in the daylight.
Yeah.
Just light up here. Is that house or is that car?
Is a car going down the road? I see it. Yeah, there it is right there. Coming back here? No. It's got to be going down the road. Yeah, that's out on the road. Dang, right? Yeah.
Oh, there's your puddle.
Clean her right off.
Holy hell, what'd you do? Steaming up the windows. Alright, I'll put a wrap on Nomad Outdoors Hunt Club. We are going to, we get to work Wednesday. Bring your camera in on Wednesday. I'll download the footage that you got. Start mixing, matching it all together, edit it together, and we'll put together another season. I guess that's what they're called, right? Seasons?
The season, yep.
So we had gun season, and muzzleloader season, bow season from last year.
Is there a late doe or something?
Yeah, late doe, private land late doe. So we got a few. Usually those are going to be what I call micro hunts. Those will be like we're off for the weekend. We'll go out there, whatever the case may be. We'll see you all back at the barn.
Hey Jack, what's happening?
I don't know.
Well, rumor around town says you might be thinking about going down to the shore.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go down to the shore.
What are you gonna do down there?